I honestly never thought I'd be the one posting something like this. I've been a lurker here for years, reading other people's stories when I couldn't sleep, sometimes feeling sympathy, sometimes shaking my head thinking, that'll never be me. Well, karma must have been listening because here I am, writing about the kind of nightmare I used to think only happened in movies or cautionary tales. For context, I'm 38M. My wife is 35F, and we've been married for almost a decade. We have one child together, a little girl who's 6 years old and the absolute love of my life. I can't overstate how much I adore this kid. She's the reason I get out of bed on rough days, the reason I work so hard, the reason I put up with a lot of the stress I'll get into in this post. My wife and I met in our mid-20s at a friend's party. She was funny, charming, and honestly gorgeous. I fell hard and fast, and she seemed to, too. For years, things seemed fine, like we had the kind of marriage people envied. Vacations, nice house, good income from my IT job, decent family life. We weren't perfect, of course, but I thought we had something real. Looking back, I realized the first cracks started showing earlier than I noticed, but at the time, I just thought we were going through normal ups and downs. The first red flags were so subtle I almost laughed them off. She started making these little digs at me, disguised as jokes. For example, one evening we were with friends, and I was telling a story about some project at work. She rolled her eyes and said, "Careful. Don't get too comfortable, babe. Tech guys are always getting replaced by some new software. You'll be obsolete in no time." Everyone laughed awkwardly, and I tried to laugh with them, but deep down it stung. I make a solid living, and I've worked my ass off to get where I am. For her to publicly undermine me like that, it didn't sit right. But I brushed it off, thinking maybe she was just in a weird mood. But then it happened again, and again. She started pointing out how boring my work was, how lucky she was to put up with me spending long hours in front of a computer. I tried to joke back, but it always felt like she was testing me. Like she was planting little seeds of doubt not just in me but in anyone who was listening. I told myself it was nothing, that maybe she was just stressed or trying to be funny. But in hindsight, it feels like the beginning of her trying to tear me down while setting up her own escape plan. Then came the spending. At first, it was normal stuff, new clothes, shoes, some extra home decor here and there. I didn't think much of it. But then I started noticing our joint credit card balance creeping higher and higher. We'd agreed early on to be smart with money, and we had always done a good job saving, so this shift was noticeable. I brought it up casually, asking if maybe we should keep a closer eye on things. She got defensive immediately. "Why are you policing me? Don't you trust me?" That question cut me deep because of course I wanted to trust her. She was my wife, my partner. So I dropped it. I told myself maybe I was overreacting. Maybe she just needed to treat herself. Maybe I was being too uptight. But the numbers didn't lie. Over the next few months, the spending kept going up. Spa trips, expensive dinners out with her friends, gadgets I never even saw her use. Whenever I questioned it, she'd turn it back on me, accusing me of being controlling or stingy. She had this way of twisting things until I felt like I was the bad guy for even noticing. The phone thing started small but quickly became impossible to ignore. My wife used to be one of those people who left her phone lying around, half the time with the screen unlocked. She'd scroll through social media in the living room, hand it to me to show me a meme, that kind of thing. Then, almost overnight, she put a password on it. At first, I thought nothing of it. Everyone deserves some privacy. But then it became obsessive. She'd keep the phone face down on the table, snatch it up the second it buzzed, even take it with her into the bathroom. If I happened to glance in its direction, she'd snap, "What are you looking at?" It made me paranoid. Was she hiding something? Was I imagining it? I didn't want to be that guy, the insecure husband snooping around. But her behavior was a complete 180 from how she used to be. My gut kept telling me something was off, but I convinced myself to give her the benefit of the doubt. I wanted to trust her. I really did. The money conversations got darker. One night, during a heated argument about our finances, she blurted out, "Well, if you cared about your family, you'd put everything in a trust so we'd be safe if something happened to you." Her tone was cold, calculated, not worried or loving. It didn't sound like, I want to protect our daughter. It sounded like, I want access to your money without you in the picture. I laughed nervously, thinking she was being dramatic. But she didn't laugh. She stared at me with this expression I can only describe as predatory. She kept pressing the issue, insisting that a trust was the responsible thing to do, that I was selfish for not already setting it up. The way she talked, it felt less like protecting our family and more like planning for a life without me in it. That was the first time I had a real chill run down my spine. The secretive phone calls became a routine. She'd wait until I was playing with our daughter or working in my office, then slip into another room to whisper into her phone. I started noticing patterns, mid-afternoon, sometimes late at night when she thought I was asleep. One evening, as I was tucking my daughter into bed, I walked past the kitchen and heard her say, in a low, urgent voice, "No, don't worry. He doesn't suspect anything." My blood went cold. She hung up before I could catch more, but that one sentence played on a loop in my head. I wanted to storm in and demand answers right then and there, but I froze. What if I was misunderstanding? What if I was wrong? But deep down, I knew. That wasn't a conversation about a surprise birthday party or a secret vacation. That was something darker. The fact that she thought she was outsmarting me made me feel like a fool in my own home. The strangest twist came through my daughter, completely by accident. Kids repeat everything, right? One night while I was reading her a bedtime story, she suddenly said, "Daddy, Mommy says we're going to live somewhere fun soon. Just me and her." My heart stopped. I tried to keep my face calm, but inside, I was panicking. I asked, "What do you mean, sweetheart?" She shrugged and said, "Mommy said it's going to be our secret." Then she went back to playing with her stuffed animals like nothing happened. I don't think I've ever felt such a mix of rage and helplessness. The idea that my wife was using our daughter to test drive her lies, or worse, preparing to take her away, was unbearable. My daughter had no idea she was dropping a bomb on me, and I had to act normal so she wouldn't feel scared. But that night I barely slept. My wife was in bed next to me, snoring lightly, while I lay there thinking, what the hell is she planning? That's when I started snooping. I know, snooping is wrong. But when your gut is screaming and the pieces don't add up, you do what you have to do. I logged into our joint bank account late one night while she was asleep. Right there in front of me were two transfers, $2,500 each, sent to an account I didn't recognize. My stomach sank. When I asked her about it the next day, she didn't even blink. She smiled and said, "Oh, that's for a surprise vacation I'm planning for us. Don't ruin it by asking too many questions." Except here's the thing, my wife hates surprises. She hates planning, and she definitely doesn't hate spending my money. When I pushed a little harder, asking where the vacation was to, she got irritated. "You ruin everything when you get suspicious," she snapped. She flipped the script so fast it almost worked. Suddenly I was the bad guy for not trusting her. But deep down, I knew that money wasn't for any vacation. The lies started piling up. One Saturday, she told me she was going to visit her mom. I stayed home with our daughter, happy for some daddy-daughter time. Later that day, her mom called me, completely unaware of the cover story, to ask about some family photos. During the conversation, she casually mentioned she was out of town visiting her sister. My brain froze. If my wife was supposed to be with her, then where the hell was she? When I confronted her about it later, I expected panic. Instead, she shrugged and said, "Oh, I must have gotten the weekends mixed up. You're always so dramatic." Just like that, she brushed it off. But who forgets what weekend their own mother is out of town? The ease with which she lied, the total lack of shame, it terrified me. I started wondering how many other lies she had told that I hadn't caught. The final straw in this early phase came completely by accident. I was doing laundry, a chore she usually guards fiercely because she doesn't want me touching her things. But we were out of towels, so I decided to grab her gym bag to toss everything in. Hidden inside a side pocket was a folder. My curiosity got the better of me, so I opened it. Inside were photocopies of my driver's license, my social security card, and bank statements. I just stood there staring at them, my hands shaking. Why the hell did she have these hidden in her gym bag? When I confronted her later, she didn't flinch. She smiled and said it was all part of emergency planning, just in case something ever happened to me. But why wasn't I included in this planning? Why was it hidden? And why did she need copies of documents that could be used to steal my identity? Her explanation made no sense, but she delivered it so smoothly, so confidently, that I almost doubted myself. Almost.